I'm Michael Liu. I am the Director of Miami-Dade County's Department of Public Housing and Community Development. Well, I've been involved in affordable housing, community development finance for many, many decades. Started off getting involved in public policy right out of law school. Got elected to my home state of Hawaii's Constitutional Convention back in 1978. Helped to write that state's constitution that I later voted against because I didn't like the final product. But nevertheless, it's still there. And from there, I became an elected official in the state house, state senate, and always involved in the area of housing, community development, finance. I was the ranking member always on those committees in the legislature, and also in my own private practice of law that I did for 13 years. I was basically a real estate lawyer during those years. Right now, I manage the largest housing community development agency in Florida. This agency, in terms of public housing side, which incorporates both our hard units of public housing and Section 8 housing choice vouchers, puts us at around the top 6 largest housing authority in the country. So in terms of scale, we're pretty big. And in addition, we manage a portfolio of programs that are state authorized and a very small portfolio of some locally authorized programs. So our budget on paper is close to anywhere between $400 and $500 million a year. However, a lot of that, a significant amount of it, about 200 million of that is really carryover of loans, assets, and not actual revenue. But for budgetary platform reasons that the county uses, it looks as if we actually have $400 to $500 million that we manage, but it's actually less than that. Almost all of our funding, not all, but almost all of our funding comes through administrative fees from the federal programs that we manage. Public housing, Section 8 housing choice vouchers, community development block grants, and home dollars. Then there is a program authorized by state statute called the surtax program and State Housing Initiatives Program, SHIP, where we are also able to get fees from those programs. We are not funded by county general funds, and that's where we get all our money from. And it's a challenge because we don't get enough money, say, for our public housing program. We don't get enough money from HUD to cover all the expenses. Now, part of the deal with the federal government is that they indicate that, well, we recognize that we don't give you all of the money that you need, usually between 80 and 85 cents on the dollar, but that's a lot, and you need to manage in such a fashion where you can generate enough funds from other resources, including rents that come from the people who live in those units, to cover the gap. Nevertheless, it's, as you might imagine, it's a challenge. Costs continually rise in Florida, and we have a significant challenge with the incomes here, which are a lot lower than in a lot of other large metro areas. But that's not to say I'm complaining, it's just a matter of fact, because at the end of the day, we do make our ends meet. Those categories of incomes are tied to what is called the area median income. And the area median income is based on data collected by HUD and other entities, and primarily HUD then says, okay, here is the area median, the halfway point of incomes in your area. For a family of 4, it's a little over $50,000 here in Miami-Dade County. So that gives you a benchmark. So taking the median, the halfway point, low income, term of art, is considered 80% and below of that area median income. So somewhere in the 40,000 plus or minus if you're a family of four, okay? Below 80% is considered low income. 80 to 100 is considered moderate, and in some programs and definitions, and this is where it gets confusing, you can go up to 120%, and 80 to 120 is considered moderate income. Now, workforce housing, that is a legally defined phrase through both state and local county ordinances. And the most recent definition set by the county is that that ranges for people who earn from 60% of area median income, so somewhere in the 30s for a family of four, all the way up to 140% of median income. So that's a little over $100,000 a year for a family of four. So workforce is a very, very broad spectrum of the population of Miami-Dade County. Then when you're dealing with specific subsidy programs on the federal side, just for your information, most of them, say public housing and Section 8 housing choice vouchers, are targeted for people who earn below 50% of area median income. And you have gradations then of low income. You have extremely low income, those who earn less than 30% of area median income. And then you have very low income, which is those who earn less than 50% of median income. And then low income, which is what I indicated before, those who earn less than 80% of median. So it's a little bit complex, but hopefully by giving some numbers and benchmarks, that helps people get a sense of the swath of people that my department and the programs that we manage serve. And we do serve that very broad group from the 60 and actually below 60%, you know, because a lot of our programs go to those in the extremely low income group, the very lowest, all the way up to 140% of median income, which are the state programs related to workforce housing and some of our county programs also. We at Liberty Square, for instance, the signature project so far that, you know, with the leadership of Mayor Giménez and Commissioner Edmondson and the BCC, the largest redevelopment project in Miami-Dade history for the largest public housing development and the oldest, you know, in our county, over 80 years old, where we took a $46 million commitment from the county, combining monies that we control from various sources. That's going to ultimately result in a project that, you know, we originally estimated was going to be about $307 million. I think now at the end of the day, it's going to be a $400 million project. But the amount of money that we are committed to that is capped by law. So we cannot allocate a cent more than what we have so far. So the rest of that, and it's on track, is coming from other sources. Other levels of government that may provide monies, i.e. the federal government or the state, or straight out of the private sector where the developer is borrowing money from private sector financial institutions to fill the gap with the rest. And phase one is well under its way. All the financing was in place last year, and construction is in full swing. The first tranche of 204 units are coming out of the ground. People didn't believe us, but it's happening. It's happening. Another important factor, too, is that we're moving in a way that, you know, we're making a promise to people in those redeveloped public housing projects that they will not be displaced. And a lot of people didn't believe us on that too. But as we have done on this first phase, where we demolished 73 units, of those 73 units, about 59, 60 units were occupied. Every one of those families were transferred voluntarily into units in Liberty Square of their choosing. And they're there today, and they will be the first to move into new units, okay, that are going to be completed in this first phase. And then it's going to be a mixed income. Obviously, 60 families does not equal 204 units, and the other 204 units are going to be a mixture of incomes that range from that 60% to 140% range that I talked about. Because mixed income communities can work. We see it in Atlanta, Washington, D.C., Chicago, and I don't think there's any reason why that you can't have the same thing here in Miami-Dade County.